Water run away, we are you. Aye, aye. Water run away, we are. When we remember brutality, water run away, we are you. Aye, aye. Water run away, we are.
Totally the attack on the media space, especially the recent attack at journalists and comrades at the Federal High Court, wherein thugs and hoodlums attack journalists in the presence of state actors like the police, the DSS, the civil defense, without any arrest.
The recent attacks on journalists who were barred from accessing the Federal High Court during the court trial of Nnamdi Kanu on Wednesday has raised fresh concerns about the increased hazards faced by the Nigerian journalists in the course of performing their duties. Over the years, journalists have faced oppressions through killing, physical attacks, arrests, unlawful detention, unconstitutional legal proceedings, amongst others. Reports says police, thugs, political figures, civilians, the state security services, and other security agencies are mostly responsible for these attacks on journalists in Nigeria. A report released by the Media Foundation for West Africa in collaboration with the Nigerian Union of Journalists stated that the safety of the journalists under the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has been questionable. About 8 journalists have been killed and 300 violations affecting 500 journalists have been recorded. The report further said most of the deaths may not be from the government officials, but the exemption from punishments shows the government has not created an enabling environment for journalists to perform their duties. According to the Nigerian Union of Journalists, nothing less than 44 journalists were killed in 2021. This was made known by the president of the union, Comrade Chris Isiguzo, while expressing his sadness on the manner in which journalists are being maimed, brutalized and killed. He said besides the 44 killed, scores have been declared missing in the country. Alex Ogbu is just one in a long list of journalists who have lost his life just for doing his job. At the press conference, this NGO, the Concerned Nigerians Against Bad Policies, is using this press conference to demand justice for Alex Ogbu. Mr. Ogbu was allegedly shot by the Nigerian police in January 2020 during a protest by the Islamic Movement of Nigeria. Here is what the group's coordinator has to say.
Investigation into our allegation, the Nigerian police force embarked on a mischievous game of denial. Who shot Alex Ogbu, we still ask today. They said it could not have been the police. Well, we are yet to get an answer. However, we know protesters don't shoot at fellow protesters. We also know that protesters don't shoot at journalists or pressmen nor carry arms or guns to protest. From our sad experience, it has always been the police force and other armed forces of the government who have been responsible for different attacks on innocent protesters and citizens in Nigeria. Comrade Alex Ogbu was fallen by the bullet of the Nigerian police 2 years after. Justice is still being denied.
In January 2020, hundreds of protesters of the Shiite Muslim group had stormed Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. They were protesting and demanding the release of their spiritual leader, Ibrahim El-Zaki, who has been in detention since December 2015. On January 21st, Alex Ogbu, a freelance journalist, was at a bus stop waiting for a taxi to take him home when he saw the protesting group and felt it was an important story to tell. He moved closer to the scene to cover the protest when he was shot and killed by security forces who arrived at the scene and started shooting periodically to disperse the protesters. Their demands do not end here.
Our demands: 1. Commencement of diligent investigation into the cruel murder of late Comrade Alex Ogbu. An investigation with active involvement of activists and unions, etc. Due compensation to the families of late Comrade Alex Ogbu and other victims of police brutality. A democratic police union where police officers have the right to make relevant decisions and also fight for their interests and welfare. We also demand an end to police brutality, an end to attack on protesters, an end to attack on media space, especially journalists and pressmen.